Good evening, and thanks for inviting me to be part of this STAR lecture series. I've been looking forward to it for months. I've been watching the YouTubes of my predecessors just to see what kind of style was expected. They're pretty tough acts to follow. The people who have presented this year, Dr. Bernstein, maybe you've seen all these, Dr. Caponegro, Dr. Colon, and Dr. Jones, with whom I work. They're more often in the classroom than I am, so this is a little daunting. Special thanks to Dr. Becky Sipe, who is a remarkable leader on campus and a good friend, to John Feldkamp, and to Janine, who I just met. Thank you all for attending too, I really appreciate it. I believe we have a very special opportunity for our students here at EMU in the Honors College, and I'm glad to see you taking advantage of the extracurricular activities. All 22 lectures, that's a pretty good run. Dr. Sipe asked us to address an issue from our discipline related to the Martin Luther King Day theme from 2016, and justice for all. And as you heard, I'm currently the interim dean of the College of Business, so you might guess I would talk about some controversial commercial practice. But my topic is not about business or marketing, which can be criticized on many levels. Maybe we can do that some other time. No doubt you have heard the expression, the personal is political. It's been associated with the women's equality movement since the 70s, and although it's impossible to know who first used it, there is agreement on its meaning, that the intersection of public and private issues is relevant, important, and worthy of protection. So the feminist movement has influenced me in my lifetime and caused me to reflect on the personal for my topic this evening. So rather than business per se, I chose to talk about the status of women in higher education. It is also about leadership and pipeline issues and gender equality. Since most of my career has been in higher ed, and as a female administrator, I can speak from experience and also provide you with some trends and insight about how women are represented in the fields. I just came back from a business deans conference where I learned only 20% of business school deans are women. So I was reminded of that imbalance just today. On a bright note, I flew out of New Orleans in the midst of a tornado, so I feel very lucky to be alive. Hopefully this will be meaningful to all members of the audience and how you perceive gender issues in the higher ed marketplace and the effect that they might have on you, your peers, your students if you're a faculty member, and your children if you should have them in the future. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and making this personal. I graduated early from a small regional high school in western Massachusetts in the town where Mary Lyon was born in 1797. Does anyone know who Mary Lyon is? I wouldn't guess, but she was the founder of Mount Holyoke College, one of the 7 sisters colleges for women. On the college website, it refers to her as a school teacher from Massachusetts, an American pioneer, a remarkable woman who founded the worldwide model of higher education for women. Hearing about her and her counterpart, Sophia Smith, founder of Smith College down the road in Northampton, Massachusetts, had an influence on me growing up. 2 women's colleges were essentially in my backyard. So many influential women had attended those schools, including Betty Friedan, who was the co-founder of NOW. Does anyone know what NOW stands for? Anyone? National Organization of Women. Gloria Steinem, who was founder of Ms. Magazine, went to Smith. Nancy Reagan, Barbara Bush, Sylvia Plath, Julia Child, and Wendy Wasserstein, the playwright, and Emily Dickinson were 2 of Mount Holyoke's graduates. So you couldn't help but be inspired by their accomplishments. So I went to Smith and experienced a truly transformational education, probably like what you're having here right now as an honors college student, where leadership and scholarship and excellence were expected. I majored in economics and planned on becoming an economics professor. On to Boston University, where I know Dr. Sipe also went to school, for graduate work in economics. And then I worked at Fidelity Investments in Boston in sales, and then the legal department, then the marketing department, and on to the University of Massachusetts for a PhD in business administration, again in marketing. After joining the faculty at the University of Oklahoma, I met my husband. You might have had him, Dr. Peter Wood. He's a criminologist here at EMU. And we moved to Mississippi, where he worked at Mississippi State, and I worked down the road, you heard earlier, at Mississippi University for Women, which was the first state-supported college for women in the US. It reminded me of Smith, and I felt very comfortable there. We moved to Michigan in 2008, and I've been, as you heard, department head of marketing and other roles here, including most recently interim director of the graduate school and now interim dean of the College of Business. So I tell you all this because it's my story, which helps you understand my perspective and what I bring to Eastern. It also has a backstory, which I think is important. It's not a linear path, okay? Remember I said I wanted to be an economics professor? Well, I started not one, but 2 master's degrees, and I didn't finish them. So I got excited about marketing instead. I worked in financial services, which I swore I would never do, and that was while I was attending graduate school in Boston, and then I turned out to love it. I got multiple job rejections along the way, including the Peace Corps, and I might be the only person ever to be rejected by the Peace Corps, I just don't know, but I felt it was very unfair, and I turned those experiences into positives. My mother died in that period of time, which is always a defining moment, and on a happy note, there were 3 children born in the middle of all that, which is challenging and rewarding, as you can guess. And then I had this other transformational experience as an ACE fellow just a few years ago. So again, not linear, somewhat opportunistic, moving in different directions. All to say that no one's path is linear and that you learn from adversity. I don't know where I would be today if I was in the Peace Corps at that time. There's disappointment along the way as well as surprises, like the twins I had, and unexpected opportunities like getting my brokerage license, which I never planned on. Salim Ismail, author of Exponential Organizations, calls this the chaos amazement phase. So be prepared for that, is what I'm saying. I'm sure you're quizzed by family and friends about what you want to do after college, just as you were quizzed when you were a high school student about which colleges you would go to and what major you were going to have. You do your best to answer, but the truth is you just don't know for sure. And my advice is to be ready to say yes in order to stretch and grow. So may I ask, how many students here are possibly planning a career as a college professor or administrator? Who might want to go in that direction? Okay, we've got a few. That's good. Okay, listen up. You don't have to be an education major, obviously. If or when you attend graduate school and earn a master's degree and then perhaps a doctorate, you may choose an academic career path. You can do other things with graduate degrees. It's often the case in graduate school that you're groomed for a research career. Your advisor or your mentor is instrumental in supporting your application for jobs in a corporate setting or a school system if you're a secondary or elementary education major, or to a PhD program which prepares you for an academic position at a community college, a private or public 4-year institution, or to conduct pure research. So you see you have options. How many students here have already applied to graduate school? A couple, good, okay. Some have the option of applying straight to a PhD program. Is that your case? No. Possibly? No? Okay, so just trying to encourage that. Here is where I get to the topic at hand. Are women moving the needle in higher education? This is about the divergent path women take in the academy and the efforts that are underway to correct them, to help women persevere and achieve great things. The simple fact is that despite the increase in the number of women achieving graduate degrees and choosing academic careers, they are outnumbered by men as they advance. Women hold only 31% of full professor positions at degree-granting colleges and universities, and only 27% of presidencies, only 15% at doctoral granting institutions. It goes without saying that women earn less than their male counterparts at every level of professorial rank. The American Council on Education, or ACE as it is known, has launched the Moving the Needle initiative and has as its goal to increase the percentage of female presidents from this 27% to 50% by the year 2030. How many years away is that? 13, doubling the number essentially in 13 years. And it is a very ambitious goal, but achievable. A number of publications have been produced in recent years focusing on the status of women advancing to executive level roles. In 2009, there was the White House Project, benchmarking women's leadership. ACE produced a report called Pipelines, Pathways, and Institutional Leadership, an update on the status of women in higher education in 2016. Also in 2016, AAUW, does anyone know what that stands for? American Association of University Women. It was founded in 1881 to empower women and their families. They published a research report called Barriers and Bias, the Status of Women in Leadership. And in their most recent winter 2017 publication Outlook, there is an article entitled, Is the Glass Ceiling Actually Concrete? What does the glass ceiling refer to? You know it. Webster's defines it as an intangible barrier within a hierarchy that prevents women or minorities from obtaining upper-level positions. It was first used in 1984 and has come to symbolize the professional limit women and minorities face in trying to achieve executive-level positions. The article, by the way, was deconstructing and analyzing the presidential campaign of Hillary Rodham Clinton. The glass ceiling, then, can be in public office, the corporate world, or in the case I'm making, higher education. Breaking it, according to the AAUW article, is good for the country, good for business, and good for families. When talent is unrestrained, the labor force is more productive, more motivated, more diverse, and ultimately better compensated. The glass ceiling has been discussed at great length over the years. Part of that debate has been whether it is a pipeline issue, that is, whether there are enough women rising in the ranks to actually fill the leadership vacancies, or whether it is a structural issue, that is, are there real or artificial barriers preventing women from achieving leadership roles, or is it a combination of factors? So this has been the essence of the debate over time. Are there enough women, or is there something preventing women, or is it a combination of both those things? Let's talk about the pipeline argument. Could it be a demographic problem? Not enough women of working age to fill these positions? In some countries where girls are not valued or forbidden to be educated, relegated to second-class citizens, or where population controls exist, it's possible this could be the case. The US, however, is the most educated country in the world. The least educated, or the ones with the highest illiteracy rates, are South Sudan, Afghanistan, Niger, and other African nations such as Chad, Senegal, and the Ivory Coast. Their concerns are dire and focus on survival. They are not worried about getting women into positions in higher ed. So in the most educated country in the world, in the US currently, there are 321 million people. Although if you go to the Census Bureau, you'll see the clock and it's spinning. So, at this moment, there's probably 324 million. And according to the US Census Bureau, there are 163 million females and 158 million males. So you've got females outnumbering males. I'm going to give you a couple more statistics. 76.1 million females, age 16 and older, were part of the civilian labor force and represent close to 50% of the labor force, 47.4%. 12.5 million women were enrolled in undergraduate and graduate school, and that's over 50% of all college students. So females are more than 50% of the college student population, 55.4%. More women aged 25 and older have bachelor's degrees than men aged 25 and older. In addition, here are some facts that might or might not surprise you. Women have earned more than 50% of all associate degrees since 1978. Women have earned more than 50% of all master's degrees since 1991. Women have earned more than 50% of all bachelor's degrees since 1981. Women have earned more than 50% of all doctoral degrees since 2006. So that's pretty striking. All other things being equal, we economists like to say, 50% of all faculty members then should be female. There are plenty of women in the pipeline. Baby boomer women especially, born between 1946 and 1964, are mature adult females who should be established in their careers and well represented in executive positions. But all other things are not equal. We know women are not represented equally in all fields. There have been some great strides in certain occupational fields since 1970. 40 years later, in 2010, the percentage of female pharmacists grew from 12.1% to 52.6%. Female accountants grew from 24.6% to 60%, so that's in the College of Business. Physicians from 9.7% in 1970 to 32.4% in 2010, so a third. Lawyers from 4.9% to 33.4%, and civil engineers from 1.3% to 12.7%. Sadly, the percentage of computer programmers has remained the same at 24%, although that does seem high just the same. How does one progress in academia? The academic career path usually begins after a person has earned a PhD and accepts a position at a college or university as a tenure-track faculty member. In some saturated fields, PhDs cannot find employment at the type of institution they aspire to, and may be forced to lower their career expectations or choose an alternate path. But say you're fortunate and secure that position. The tenure track is usually 5 to 6 years in length, during which the untenured or junior faculty member is establishing him or herself in the field. This typically involves conducting research, publishing refereed articles, in some fields, books, or art or performances, and establishing oneself as a scholar in a discipline. It also involves attending and presenting at conferences, performing departmental, college, and professional service, maintaining currency in the field, and let's not forget teaching. So here are some issues that arise for junior faculty members. Teaching evaluations are used as part of the tenure decision, and unfortunately it's been found that female faculty members are judged more harshly than their male counterparts in the classroom by students. Often their appearance is commented on. They're considered strict and not as perhaps nurturing as the student expects, while the male faculty member might be considered bright, smart, authoritative. So that does come up in the research about teaching evaluations. Female faculty members are also asked to serve on more committees and perform more service, diverting their attention from research, which is a necessary part of the tenure process. Failing to get tenure either leads to a different institution to try again, to take a non-tenure track position somewhere else, or leave academia altogether. So it's a short period of time to prove yourself, and it's very competitive and it's very stressful for everybody. So there are a number of tasks that new faculty members undertake as they transition from graduate student to member of the academy. I hope I'm not discouraging anybody from taking this path. These involve a learning curve and considerable time and energy while the clock is ticking. There's a tenure clock we refer to. But for many women, their biological clocks are ticking as well, and many decide to postpone children as a result. Parenthood, or at least the Academy's response to it, is one of those structural impediments referred to earlier. More progressive work environments are offering liberal and flexible arrangements for parents after a child is born or adopted. Some institutions have allowed for tenure clocks to be altered, to postpone them, to stop the clock for a couple years. More convenient teaching schedules and accessible childcare. This benefits both parents. Here is where we get to the action-oriented steps. How the needle can be moved to keep women in the pipeline. Other compelling strategies that do not involve the childbirth decision include offering significant leadership opportunities rather than busy work to female faculty members, such as chairing searches, directing programs, attending workshops that exist to build professional development skills such as HERS, which is Higher Education Resources Services, the Harvard Management Certificate Program, the ACE Fellowship, and others. Professional service outside of the institution, which in fact benefits the institution, should be weighted more in the tenure decision, as it involves leadership enactment with a completely different audience and is in addition to the service conducted at the home institution. Could it be that women don't want what the executive positions require? That they may prefer the professoriate and not want to be an administrator? Yes, this is possible. What some want is a complete revolution, a different model in which to work. Some would suggest these work redesign measures do not go far enough, giving women even more work or building up their skill set as if they were deficient in some way, fixing the women instead of fixing the system, addressing more of the pipeline issue rather than the structural impediments. More radical solutions call for blowing up the system altogether, rewriting the tenure and promotion standards to value faculty members' contributions differently, evaluating and accrediting schools on the diversity of their faculty. That is, are they hiring and promoting women and minorities to the chief academic officer role or vice presidential role? Asking employers for stakeholder reviews of trends in employment and starting salaries for female and male applicants. Having a seat at the table, that is, inviting women to be on some decision-making boards. Having a voice at that table, not just giving lip service and inviting them, but allowing them to participate meaningfully. Reducing implicit bias in search committees through training. Requiring applicant pools to be diverse. Creating diverse advisory boards for programs and centers so they can offer professional guidance. EMU, by the way, does employ many of these strategies. What can we do to encourage taking on leadership roles? Opting out or doing nothing has long-term consequences. Trying to meet that 50%, again, is ambitious. Changing the rules and taking action are more progressive measures. We can start early, for one thing. Everyone benefits from a good example, and strong role models are important. Girls respond to positive models and are able to imagine themselves in new and different roles once they are introduced to what is possible. Many campuses offer summer camps, STEM initiatives, technology workshops for girls, fostering academic interests with college students and faculty role models. We have had 2 female presidents here at EMU in recent years, and provosts too. The faculty and staff present positive examples of leadership, so you can see it taking place here on our campus. I personally was inspired at Smith by the first female president, Jill Kerr Conway, who wrote the book, The Road to Karain. I don't know if anybody's read that. It was about her journey from the outback in Australia, where she was born and raised, to the University of Toronto, where she did her graduate work, and then on to a college presidency. And the story is pretty remarkable. Serve as a role model yourself. So here I'm getting into the prescriptive. Be that woman who endeavors to effect change and make the workplace more cooperative. Be the man that shares in household responsibilities. I have a husband who's an excellent cook, because having a partner who contributes at home contributes to a less stressful environment in which to thrive. Remember that expression, the personal is political. Lionette and Crompton, in their 2014 article, Sharing the Load, Partners' Relative Earnings and the Division of Labor, claim that, quote, domestic work is of practical and symbolic significance, and if male partners do more, it may follow that employed women's lives will improve considerably, allowing them to take on additional workplace responsibilities and compete on a more equal footing with men. So the sole solution is not to, share in washing the dishes, but it does go a long way. Encourage students and female faculty members to get involved in leadership activities. AAUW, again, the American Association of University Women, has the National Conference for College Women Student Leaders annually. Student organizations, athletics, and co-curricular programs like those at the Honors College offer opportunities for leadership development. This is more and more prevalent on college campuses. Educate your family members, your friends, your colleagues, and yourself about the policies and procedures for tenure and promotion, the benefits of administrative and leadership roles, the rewards of stepping up. The academic life can get comfortable, and many do not want more demanding and less flexible schedules that include public appearances and fundraising, because oftentimes those executive roles do require that. Others rise to the challenge with a better understanding of their own strengths. They've never been asked to do those things before, and then they find out they're good at it. Simple ways include joining campus-supported groups like EMU's ACE Women's Network and the Women in Philanthropy at EMU organization. So you can sort of test the waters by becoming involved in an extracurricular group. This is for faculty members or for students. Support new and bold ideas, causes, and you can support those causes with your feet or with your pocketbook. Support research endeavors with students and colleagues. The Undergraduate Research Symposium and Graduate Research Conference are two on this campus. They're coming up next month. And you can participate in a number of ways. Junior faculty and mid-career faculty members who are hesitant to apply for a promotion need to be encouraged to take on new roles and to write that book or finish that article. So there's a bit of encouragement that should go on here, either from peers or from mentors or from their supervisors. Share information about scholarships, competitions, internships, networking opportunities, professional organizations, conferences and workshops, funding sources, LinkedIn connections, best practices, and all chances to stretch. So essentially what we're saying here is share good news with others, share opportunities with others. Nominate colleagues for awards and recognition. Have open conversations about advancement and promotion. My experience at EMU has been empowering thanks to others who have supported me in these ways, and I hope that that continues. I certainly plan to do it myself. Given there are more educated women and more visible female leaders, the pipeline appears to be primed. It may be leaky, as some suggest, but there are ways to attract and retain more women who will rise to the top. Could it be that if women finally get equal pay for equal work, that they would be motivated to pursue leadership roles? I believe that is true. Can we move the needle to 50% of college presidents by 2030? I would venture to say we have at least one of them in the audience right now. You don't know who you are, but that may be the case for you 13 years from now. As the Audi commercial said on Super Bowl Sunday, progress is for everyone. So thank you very much.